But when it comes to contenders versus kind of champions, I would kind of put maybe Rise as the #1 contender for that title shot if we're talking WWE, and then maybe Hive just a little bit lower than there. So they're going to have to really show us what they have here. They're going to have to show us that this paper that we look at, all the strategy, is just as garbage as we say it is week after week when it comes to our predictions.
All right, INZEM off the start is going to pick up that M-bar. Rushiez will take down TJ, and much like the breakout for EU United versus Rebel, EU, right, they didn't get the M-bar off the rip. They actually gave it over towards Rebel, but Identos was left in no man's land by himself, and much the same thing for INZEM because Rise wins the fight over at Statue, or excuse me, Flowers, but I'm curious, do we even have a battle for the new hill, or are we just, for the current hill, are we going to just set up for the new one? It seems like Hive is prioritizing new, but there we go. They're slowly making their way in.
Yeah, I want to see them prioritize new at the same time. You have to be very, very cognizant of 30 seconds left onto this hill. You did a good job of flipping over those respawns, but because you're putting all your troops onto that battlefield, being able to maintain and backtrack is going to be hard, but you already see the spawn come through from DeToX. I will go ahead and answer back late into this hill. They're not going to get very many points after this one, but they're going to have that spawn point towards the backside, towards this new hill, and they have to successfully defend it because you already see Rise putting their flag at the top of this mountain trying to claim it.
They're claiming indeed. INZEM trying to connect. That's going to be one onto Icy. Still Rise has a lot of presence in the hill, and Demise is going to go ahead and throw out those nades, which could connect, and it does onto Avexys. There once was 4, now there's only 2, and now there's shortly about to be 1, and that's going to be Rushiez, and a flawless break for Hive. Well done with the in-bar. Well done with Demise throwing out those nades. Hive utilized their utility correctly, and they took down Rise.
Yeah, and you can already see Rise wasting no time. 2 players spawn up. They're going to be the first to the punch towards the low side of the map. That's going to be the spawn point that Hive does possess. They want to attack that first. That way, anything that happens from here on out, they'll get that quick spawn. There's still 60 seconds left onto this hill, and Demise is going to be a target. He gets flashed towards the backside. He gets dashed on, taken out as they begin to stagger out these deaths, but TJ and 2 more members are trying to anchor that spawn point. It's so important to make sure you have at least some sort of control here, and there goes one. INZEM and TJ working together. There goes 2. Goes for number 3. Trying to get the flank onto Avexys. He's able to get the elimination on the Solurs and gets the help he needs from Rushiez as they continue to contest this hill. That's going to be very, very important from Rise. You see Hive, they have tied this one up, and with those eliminations, they are going to get the lead.
Well done from them, yeah, and good job taking the lead, as you just mentioned, but just by mere points. So Rise, they're going to try and capitalize now and rotate for the new hill, but Hive is going to meet them head on. So we're about to have a headbutt battle once again. Now, one benefit that Rise has is going to be the nades with Avexys, but unfortunately, do they have the in-bar? They don't anymore, right, because the in-bar was gone, but they have nades. They also have Icy with the shock, so a lot of utility to use once Hive tries to go in for the hill. And of course, they are going to go in for the hill. But do you benefit Hive's positioning? They should have pretty decent spawns, and Rise are prioritizing more heavily on the right side.
I like the positioning coming out from Hive. They just have to make sure they play into the situation, play into their positioning. They're more trying to angle people out, trying to catch somebody off guard, and they already get that burst down onto DeToX. Quickly revive right back up. And there goes the mismatch at the bottom half of the map. I said playing into the situation. There should have been somebody trying to get that cross onto Rushiez, but with that elimination, that's going to buy them time. Not much, though, because you can already see TJ spawning back up towards the top half of the map. But that is going to be a little bit of a silver lining, because now they can attack 4 straight towards this top half and try to brute force their way into this hill.
Avexys, he's got those nades. He's going to go in and chunk them out. That's going to be a great connection. Talk about flawless Solurs, TJ INZEM. We'll see you later. Rushiez takes down Demise in a smooth fashion, and that was a squad wipe on the side of Hive. My goodness. See, and that's why nades are so massive, not only in execution, where they have really been turning up, really series to series, but here you can't discredit them. We focus so much on the in-bar. We focus so much on the power weapons like the boom on district, but those nades sometimes are more impactful than any other power weapon on the map.
Yeah, you can either use and get a triple kill like that, or funnel them off of position. Use your cross to get the grenades. Either way, it does look like pretty good for the team of Rise here. They're almost able to double up the score, but they get the M-bar. A sneak kill from Demise here. That's going to create a little bit of an opening, but not a major amount. As it's the top half of the map, neutral hill positioning for this next hill, but that's what Rise is fighting over. They want to go ahead and anchor one of these two sides. Avexys goes down, though. Demise gets taken out, so it's going to be a trade. Both of those corners going to be in control of Rise, and that's going to make this elimination that much easier if they can connect the shots on the TJ. And there goes the M-bar thanks to Icy and Rushiez, and now it's about maintaining the high ground from here on out for Rise.
Did you see that timing? Perfect timing from TJ, because Icy's charging it up. TJ stays behind the wall just long enough for that shot to be fired away. Give him a haircut, but then ultimately get the chunk onto Icy. Just great timing overall, but do we see more eliminations come out with the nades? Well, not just yet, but it does force Rise into a bad spot, and Hive is going to be able to capitalize and take them down. Avexys, though, staying up, picks up an elimination, but Hive on the hill, and 40 points will allow them to close out the deficit if Rise isn't able to penetrate and get onto the hill themselves. But Avexys might find an off angle. Hive is so focused on the boys up ahead of DeToX and Co. that they allow Avexys to get on hill.
Yeah, they tunnel on the eliminations. They just have to make sure they use their man advantage then if that's the plan, if that's the route they want to take. But they're doing a good job of backtracking and going ahead and, like I said, staggering out the depth. They got that man advantage early on. It cost them a few seconds onto the hill, but they're trying to think of the long game right now. So they're going to have an opportunity at 20 more seconds to make this about a 26-second game if they collect it all. But they have to be first to the rotation. Right now, it's very, very important that they maintain the spawn point towards the top. You can already see Rise have possession of the hill. They can't get too desperate. They can't get too greedy. Once this hill go ahead and rotates, that Rise is going to get a few seconds. It's no joke. You can't hide that. So you have to make sure your teamwork is on point to make sure those seconds don't turn into more.
All right, see how this is going to work out. Both teams ready to just pounce on the opportunity, but you got to take your time. That shot well placed. DeToX throws it, and therefore INZEM can't go for it just yet. It's going to allow more time for Rise to let this breathe and focus on where Hive decides to go. But
TJ.
Two solid choke points. You mentioned TJ. TJ could very well be the X factor here. Rise, I'm sure they've counted numbers, but did they account for the nades? Well, they're going to have to. They see it in the kill feed. I'm sure TJ moving forward, he's the X factor. TJ is going to be the reason why Hive is going to be successful or not.
Talk about you don't necessarily have to get eliminations, about funneling them out. They did a good job of funneling them out down onto DeToX. Rushiez gets taken out first. DeToX got revived, but instantly re-down. And there goes multiple members of Rise trying to push up and be the heroes. It's about being exposed. And there goes another big play from Avexys. That's 2 eliminations, making sure Rise stays in control. There goes 3. Avexys putting on a show. I said he's the heart of Rise, and he's looking like he's the soul as well.
My goodness, Avexys, no fear at all. Call him Icy for goodness sakes, because all he has in his veins is ice. Well done from him. Rushiez picks up the M-bar, and that's kind of like the cherry on top at this point. He'll pass it over and maybe says, give it back. I don't know, a bit of a dispute internally for the team of Rise, but fair enough. Avexys finally drops off, but because of his heroics, Rise now has an 82-point lead, Jacob.
Yep, it's all about those moments. You disrupt the offense, winning fights that you shouldn't win. And on the side of Hive, they have a very, very aggressive style of play to Rise, but right now it just looks like they're a little bit too individual, not playing as a full, complete roster. And you can kind of see Rise taking advantage of it time and time again. 2 grenades from TJ, an opportunity really to take over that portion of the hill, close the gap, just gone to waste. In fact, it was really turned upside down by Rise as they're going ahead and taking inch by inch. They got the low spawn point, 50 seconds left onto the hill. They have the angles as well. M-bar gearing up, connects with one. He's gonna have to think twice if he shows himself again, but DeToX gets eliminated. He was on his last down. Flash towards the backside. They're taking inch by inch, like I said. Headshot over the top, and Avexys gets one as well. That gives Rise control over the hill. Rushiez in a 1v1 scenario, backtracking, only putting out damage necessary. Solurs trying to be the hero. He gets a double kill. Can he go for 3? No, he cannot. He gets the nod. Rise stays in control.
Rise finally above the 200-point mark, but Hive just on the other side. INZEM over cover will take down Rushiez. DeToX being snubbed out. He's gone, and Rise forced to kind of work their way through mid, find an off angle, get on the hill if they potentially can. Solurs, though, he's going to be roaming around over at Flowers, just trying to see if anything is over here. And, of course, the shock is going to be there, but it's going to be all for naught if Rushiez and Avexys have anything to say about it. They're going to apply a lot of pressure to him, but granted, longer Solar stays here, obviously the longer Rise can't go forward and get onto this hill. So this is going to be a scrappy one. It's obviously we've reached now the new rotation. This is where we start, and this is now going to be the start of the second side of the rotations. And quite honestly, this is where Hive needs to start turning up. But Avexys connects onto Solurs. INZEM now full red against DeToX. They'll have a chance to reset, but Rise ultimately gets to break on the hill.
DeToX knows they won that fight down low. It's just about wasting time on INZEM here. INZEM needs to be aggressive, gets that down on a DeToX and quickly finds that elimination. But all that point total is being gained by Rise. They're going to be the first over 200 points. 70 extra points over Hive right now. That's a full hill. Hive needs to start winning these team fights. They need to decisively position themselves for these victories. 2 quick downs by Solurs, but the elimination goes through on the side of Rushiez. DeToX gets traded out, but INZEM falls as well. Everything just seemingly falling in favor of Rise, and that is Demise buying himself, caught on an island, gets that elimination. That gives the man advantage on over to Hive, but they're not doing a good job of utilizing it as it quickly goes away thanks to Avexys.
Yeah, this might be over with very shortly. Hive, they're going to have to step it up and quickly. Avexys, though, is having none of it. Good angle onto TJ. There's that player just behind, though. Man, that's INZEM, but INZEM should have, or it wasn't INZEM, I apologize. I think that was DeToX. No, it was DeToX from the flank, but he needed to get up there a little bit quicker. Avexys could have lost his life there, and then ultimately TJ would have had another 1v, but I digress. It doesn't matter all that much anyways. Rise forced to go for the second hill. Now remember, Hive played the second hill very, very well off the start. Now granted, it's going to be a much more tense situation. Hive or Rise within striking distance of 300. They need about 29 more points. So I think the pressure is at the utmost highest now for Hive. They understand they have to fight tooth and nail for every single hill, and that includes scrap time, which means they're going to be forced to leave one player behind where Rise can afford to rotate 4 strong if they decide to. But this could be the final hill depending on how Hive plays it, and that is not a good start. Solurs dropping off from the nade.
Make sure, even if they're going to back off this hill, not get a ton of points off of it, even though they trail about 120. You want to get points. You want to make sure it stays as contested as possible. Put up a fight here against Rise. Force them to get desperate. Force them into a chaotic fight that you favor here on the side of Hive. But they're doing a good job of buying some time, but the contestation comes through on the side of Rise. They get in towards the hill. The angles aren't going to be there from Hive. Solurs is backed up by himself, not able to get that angle, and that's because of DeToX there in the middle. Solurs pushes up a little bit too far by himself. Solurs could get taken out by that player in the middle of DeToX here. So this one is going to stay contested. And I think this favors Rise heavily. What do you think?
It has to. I mean, I think at this point, with the point lead as it is, anything favors Rise because Hive has to play flawlessly. They have to play perfect. That fight was flawless. Absolutely perfect. But again, Hive has to do that time in and time out. They consistently have to be incredible. Now, if they do have one more good hill, Rise might start sweating and be a little bit nervous. But again, Rise, they can afford to rotate 4 strong. That's exactly what they're going to be doing. But they do let TJ pick up that M-bar. Plus, I believe the nades are going to be coming up shortly too, so we'll see that. But Rushiez does have that shock. That could be interesting, but I'm really interested to see how TJ is going to be able to play this spot because he needs to get some picks. Rise, they're currently set up for new.
Yeah, not a lot of time here. 6 seconds left before the hill changes. Then 29 seconds left before Rise takes the lead. TJ connects with 1, gets the elimination onto Rushiez, sends him back into the fight with a quick revive. TJ gets 2, and team on his back. TJ gets 3 with just a little bit of help, and they had to attack early. Not a single point gained from Rise, and this is where TJ and the rest of Hive, they're not going to get the lead off of this hill. They're not going to win the game, so Rise need to be careful here about what choices they make. They have enough time here to attack, and if they're going to gain these weapons, use these weapons, whether the shock, the frag, they need to make sure they win off of this or save them for next.
So Solurs was in mid, he was counting numbers. He's calling out to his team, look, this is where the numbers from Rise are going. It's going to be a 4-man push. Maybe we'll have a straggler. That's going to be Rushiez, who's coming from mid to challenge on a player 4. But TJ falls, picked back up, but quickly down once again. 3rd down, he's out. Solurs now has to go up there with INZEM, but Rise is strong. Avexys, good read, takes down Solurs, and now Rise within striking distance. Enough points left on this hill. At this point, Hive, you just got to fly at the hill. There's no other way.
Yeah, it's desperation plays, but we see some desperation plays work out. We've seen some very, very close games come down to the wire, but less than 10 seconds remain. They're going to have to start contesting this hill. Grenades being tossed from the left, splashes from the right as well. 3 seconds left. Solurs gets the contest. He gets taken out. It's up to INZEM here. Big shots over the top. Flank from TJ again. He gets the elimination. He goes down. Revive coming through. He has to stay in the hill. INZEM goes down, and that is going to be it. Rushiez gets the elimination. They get the remaining 3 points, and they get a victory in map number 1.
300-217, relatively close, but Rise played out of their mind. Avexys, the match MVP, and for a reason, Jacob, for a reason. That man was on fire. The plays he was making, absolutely incredible. Plus 27 eliminations to his name, absolutely leading his team in terms of slaying power. Avexys really was the kind of the walking army, the one-man army, if you will. His nades too, Jacob. His nades were incredible. Give credit to DeToX though. DeToX with his shock placements were great for slowing down Hive as well.
Yep, making them figure out different routes, making them trying to adjust their game plan. It kind of caught them off guard. And it was like, I think after maybe the 3rd hill, 4th hill were Rise, they were not only able to kind of aggressively take over some of these positions, but they were going ahead and defending them as well. That puts a lot of pressure to where you have to be very cognizant of how many points you give up and how many times you're going to rotate for that new hill, figuring it out from there. On the side of Hive, they did a good job towards the middle, maybe a little bit towards the late portions of the game. But when you put yourself that far into a hole, that big of a deficit against the number 2 team in Gears Esports right now, that's kind of hoping that you get a miracle on your side. You kind of leave it up to the other team to make a mistake.
And that's well said, Jacob. And I think that goes across really any series that you're in. Any time that you put yourself at a massive deficit, coming back is so hard. It really is. I think mentally, stamina-wise, it's difficult because you have to play flawlessly. And, playing flawlessly, sometimes it happens, like Avexys in that moment. Flawless play. We saw TJ in the later portions. I'm sure he got a replay himself, picking up big eliminations. But when you put yourself at, 271 to about 140, it's almost impossible to come back. It has happened, but it's so rare. It's just not going to be easy whatsoever. I don't care if you're playing against Rise, if you're playing against Hunting Season, if you're playing against a newly founded Team Kesa, who was Spanglish just a little bit earlier. It's going to be hard no matter who you're playing against. But either way, though, I do respect Hive, Jacob, from covering that gap, at least accruing, 71 points, I believe it was, to bring it from 140 to about 217. So, Hive, they stuck it, they stayed in it, and they didn't give up.
Yeah, and that's one of the things you got to kind of admire about some of these teams, that they got to know their positioning. They don't give up, but you have to be able to kind of realize, and it's much harder or easier said than done. A lot of these players, especially when you're feeling that pressure against a team like Rise, you need to figure out a way to slow the game down. And there's not very many options to do that, especially, like I said, against a team like Rise that's going to be very aggressive. If they go ahead and allow them to rack up time, they will. If you go ahead and give them an opening to get an elimination, they'll try and take it. They don't get content. They don't settle. And I think that's what makes Rise a deadly team. They're going to figure out a way to push that mountain to the left, to the right, wherever you want it. At the end of the day, they're going to push that mountain, and they want to reach the top of it at the end of the day. Second place is not enough. And that's why you're going to see a hungry and deadly Rise throughout the course of this split.
Well, Jacob, obviously they take map number 1, but now we're going into 2 maps that could be very strong for Hive, right? We're going into Checkout Execution, plus we have Training Grounds Escalation. Hive, a great team on both of those maps respectively. I think towards the tail end of the best of 5, that's where Rise will definitely be able to take the advantage, but only if we get to that point. When we go into Checkout Execution, Rise has had their struggles on that map. They really have. But Hive, how do you think they're going to fare? It is their map pick after all.
Like I said, very, very similar to Rebel. Unfortunately, both of these teams are kind of keeping their rosters intact. So you do have a little bit of a blueprint of how they play. But this is a very, very fast map. It's easy to catch people. It's easy to catch teams fully off guard, get that first blood, and work it from there. Because of how it plays, it's very, very hard to kind of play defensively. So if you lose a man onto that battlefield, you have just a split second, a few seconds to try to even it up before things just kind of come crashing down, and you're forced to hope for a miracle, hope for them to make a mistake, because then they're kind of funneling you backwards. They get the power weapons, the frags, the incense, and they go ahead and take the positioning to where it's up to you to make a play. You're going to have to force to make a 3v4, 2v4, whatever it may be, with your backs up against the wall. If you do not get first blood, and if you do not go ahead and get that trade early on.
I think one of the things that was made apparent when EU played against Rebel on checkout just a little bit earlier in our first series was you got to watch your flank and you have to challenge and keep your head on a swivel for that solo player, because if you are going to commit 4 strong on checkouts and you're going to allow someone to go up top basically for free, you better believe he's going to capitalize and go on your flank. And Praised was absolutely detrimental in regards to Rebel once he got onto that flank. Identivs tried to take him out, but he couldn't, granted. But same thing here for Hive. Hopefully they'll keep their head on a swivel, because Rise, who knows, they could in fact send somebody on their flank. You just never know. It's always a possibility. But the biggest thing, though, like you mentioned, ensigns, those are going to be the biggest fighting point, an opportunity to pick up an early elimination, but also an opportunity to swing the odds in your favor, reposition your opponents, and maybe get them out of cover so you can lancer them down on those checkouts. Who are we looking at to battle that headbutt for the ensigns?
I'm looking at TJ for sure on the side of Hive, or at least kind of towards the last season, the last split of things. He's kind of the guy that likes to make those moves, be the tip of the spear. INZEM does play that 1v1 scenario. This was of the past. On the side of Rise, to me, I feel like they like to do different things. They like to put that first player in towards the middle. That doesn't mean they're giving up on the incense. They're just trying to create a distraction, make the team think it's safe for them to get the incense. Then they have their second player hit that plat side, try to land a big shotgun shot to where their middle lane player and the back lane player can try to clean it up with a down, or they send their first player to try to go hop up into those innocents, try to go ahead and attack them, get them out early. I think Rise right now has a little bit more strategy, but I think right now what Hive needs to lean into is their aggressiveness. They're an aggressive team. Just because they play 6 doesn't mean they can't go head to head against this team of Rise.
I'm just curious how Avexys is going to play. You know, he's got a really big kind of follow-up after that control, because he played incredible. He played very, very well. The way that he was challenging the boys of Hive was scary. It truly was. Now, granted, execution, maybe you play a little bit more passive given the fact that it's a single life. You don't want to be that first blood. But it wouldn't surprise me either if Avexys keeps that heat going, you know, from map 1 to map 2 and just instantly pushes up, much like Precision loves to do from Vanquish, right? We've seen him have some great penetration when it comes to those checkout pushes, especially when the smokes are laid down. So Avexys is going to be my wild card, but Icy too, right? Icy played absolutely out of his mind there in MSP. He also played very well throughout all of phase 2 in general, or phase 1, excuse me. So Icy, he could be just as devastating and instrumental too. Who do we see fighting for the nades?
On the side of Rise?
On both
I
teams.
do believe it might be Rushiez on the side of Rise, could be wrong, and then INZEM on the side of Hive. And the way Rushiez plays, he plays very, very methodical, even though a lot of people might not realize it because of his style of play is very, very aggressive. But he kind of plays to kind of like bait you in to take a shot. He's one of those players that will kind of hold shots in certain scenarios, go for the one-shot chunk, or try to run into you and go for that one-shot chunk while you think you might have it on your own. But INZEM has a very, very similar play style. They both kind of come up from the same scene. I wouldn't call it underground by any means, because it's been a while since they played towards the underground, but they both have that similar makeup of aggression was their play style when they were amateurs, and aggression is what that got them to the pro scene. So I expect them to use aggression in this 1v1 spot, especially if they find their team losing into that checkout spot, because I talked about how fast and how aggressive it can be. That can bleed over, because if you lose and don't react to that on the other side of the map, it's just going to be a 3v1, 2v1. You're just going to get angled out. You're just going to get suffocated and not given any opportunities.
We're definitely going to find out all these answers to the questions we've been throwing out there, Jacob, very shortly. Will Rise be able to take a 2-0 lead in this series, or will Hive answer back again? I'm a firm believer. I think these next 2 maps for Hive are going to be good for them. I really do. It's going to be up to Rise to shut them down. Taking a 2-0 lead in this series would be a massive plus, especially when you think about the fact that we do have map number 5, which of course is going to be execution, but it's going to be on Canals, which you have to favor DeToX in that front spot. He loves to get the mid-bridge control. He's almost unstoppable. Even Powers struggles to deal with them for that mid-bridge control. And United, and we know how dominant of a slayer Powers is, right? So DeToX, you have to favor him there. So for Hive, these next 3 maps are going to be very, very important for them. And already losing map number 1 is a big L.
Yeah, and I go and ask you, I talked about a lot of aggression, a lot of focus on towards that plat, the middle lanes, getting that first blood. Do you see a world where either one of these 2 teams kind of try to slow this game down, play more towards the outside, Lancer player, go for the first down, then either go for the elimination sniper, try to backtrack from there? Or do you think we're going to see 20, 30-second rounds throughout the entirety?
I think both teams are going to challenge each other off the rip. I really do think we'll have quick rounds off the start. If any team is going to slow down, kind of thinking it's going to be Hive, honestly. I think Rise is feeling good. They're feeling confident. They second place MSP. They've been highly aggressive already in that control. It's within their DNA to kind of push the boundaries, much like that of E United. So I think Hive is going to be the team to kind of take a step back. But off the rip, like we're seeing, I expected his head, but I really did. Both teams want to establish dominance, and TJ already picks up the instance, but it's not going to slow down DeToX per se. He does back up, but on the opposite side, Rushiez will fall, but INZEM and Solurs also down. So a lot of moving pieces. Who's going to have the added edge? It looks like Rise Demise last alive.
Yeah, thought it was going to be INZEM out there in that 1v1, but it looks like things might have switched up a little bit. It's going to be Demise. 1-0 for his team against Rushiez. But like I said, Rushiez probably testing the waters, figuring out what he can get away with, knowing that his team won that on the other side of the map. It gives him a little bit of cushion. He can toy with his food. He can play around, try to adapt, figure out what he can do. 3v1 scenario here. Headshot from Icy. Beginning to heat up early with not only the shotgun, the position control, and the headshots of the sniper. That's going to make a scary dual threat, because if Rise starts to play outside, that's going to make Hive a little bit worried. They're going to have to be very, very careful of the headshot potential.
Yeah, headshot potential is always something you have to worry about, Rise, especially with Rise. That's why they're so good on Clock Tower, not only because DeToX is consistent with getting on that sniper, but they can also connect and capitalize, right? It's one thing to pick it up, and it's another to pick up the eliminations. Icy unmarked, goes through the smoke, but met by INZEM, taking him down. That is a phenomenal read, but you got to get the trade. You got to bring it out to a 3v3. Avexys tries it, head full of steam, straight forward. Can't make it happen, and it looks like this is going to be a Hive round, maybe even a flawless round. Rush is looking to change that, but nope, going to be a team ace. That's a great response from Hive.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. You got to go ahead on a map like this, be willing to get your hands dirty. This map is not going to be one of those maps that none of these rounds are going to play to perfection. None of these rounds should be exactly how you plan them in scrims, because of how chaotic it gets. There's smokes, there's flashes, there's superstars on the battlefield. If you think this is going to be as easy as that Rebel United match, you got to be fooled. These are both teams that have intact rosters. They have intact strategies, while Rebel was kind of trying to rebuild and find themselves as a new. So it's about to be an all-out war between these two teams. DeToX gets in, gets out with those instants. Avexys lands a big shot. He's not going to be aggressed on by INZEM, because he's forced to kind of stall, get his health back, and rethink the situation. But I don't know if that was 1 or 2 instants going
That's
out.
two.
DeToX misses the first. I think he does have one more.
Does
he has one more. Yeah,
oh,
he has
I'm
one more.
looking on the wrong. You're right. DeToX
this
does
is where,
have
do you
one more.
attack the middle or do you attack the back lane? Oh, that's not
back
it.
lane.
That wasn't
Yeah.
an option. No, I didn't say it. That wasn't an option.
Well, let's see if they can make the most of it. Seems as if they're doing okay, but you gotta watch your flank. There's one coming down. That's gonna be TJ. DeToX missed the shots, gets to pick up Solurs. Trying to stay up here, but I believe both of the players are on their last down. But either way, it's gonna be down to a 2v2, and they're both on opposite ends of the map. Make that a 1v. DeToX, you gotta get the work, my boy. You understand the snipe is gonna be your savior. Can he get the connections? This is the guy to have it, though.
He can't lock himself here. He can't lock himself in towards the flat side. He has to figure out a way to create separation. There's a lot of damage being put on a DeToX, and that's why you see Demise going ahead and pushing up and trying to take the positioning. Goes out wide for a split second, and that split second where Demise would attack. Even though he didn't get the elimination, I swear I give him A for effort. I give him an A for that attempt.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was a great attempt. Going over on Plat, trying to force the 1v, dipping and dodging. Unfortunately, just on his last down, took a bit too much damage, but it is what it is. And like you said, that instant throwing it to the backside just really wasn't the play to make. Maybe you focus on the mid-checkout stance. I guess that would have been the better play overall, but TJ, finding an opportunity maybe. He's got to be careful here, though. Icy's going to sniff him out, take him down, and the first blood going to Rise.
Try to see the adjustment coming through. Demise going back towards the fight. They lost the man early on. Like I said, you only have a few seconds here to try to even things up before it gets so much harder. Avexys with that headshot.
Oh,
there goes number 2.
Give me a
Can
third.
he get 3?
Give me a third. There's the body.
Oh, come on. I'm
We'll
okay
take
with
it.
that, but
We'll
I wanted
take
the
it.
headshot, man. I got an Avexys tree last split, and I wanted a hat trick this one.
Whew, man, well done, though, from Avexys. Good connections. We'll get a replay of that one. That was the first one. Solurs is out. There's the second headshot. You're right, he did get 3 body shots. Hey, they are King's Blaze. Always singing his high praises of the body shots, and for good reason, right? A down in execution, especially when you're getting the down on the last player on the enemy team. Hey, that is just as good as gold. We're tied up 2-2.
As he's in preparing for that middle lane attack. He's going to go ahead and throw that flash early, make it safe. Rushiez gets the grenades out wide. Trying to see how that one goes, but the battle's going through. Trades here on towards the back lane. Sniper into the hands of Solurs. He gets out alive for now, but DeToX making a move. He knows Solurs. Sweet back aim from Solurs, though. He gets the elimination. This battle's going to continue. DeToX gets one. Rushiez wins out wide. Rise figures out a way. 31 seconds to take control.
The way that DeToX and his partner were able to focus those players from Hive, even with the long shot up, as soon as that first shot was fired, Jacob, they said this is our opportunity, and they pursued forward. We get a replay of that, and this was Icy and DeToX. I love the fact that Icy is working his way there. Solurs takes him down, but DeToX has enough opportunity because of distraction from Icy onto INZEM earlier, gives enough time for the clutch up play to take place. Obviously, giving much respect to Rushiez on the opposite end. So Rise feeling good. They take the point lead back. The battle on plat underway, but does anybody get away with the instance? I don't think so. So still up there. We're going to be at a bit of a standstill as both teams go for the reset.
Yeah, right now you got to think Rise has control, or at least towards the plat side, the middle portion. They can get that early damage. I don't know where that flash came from. DeToX goes in.
He tries to go for those.
It cost him his life. Icy goes down as well. Avexys can't get the revive, but he gets the elimination. Icy goes down. 2v3 situation. They're doing the best that they can to try to even things up. Rushiez, he's going to go ahead and create a distraction. Hopefully there could be a cross towards the top side from Avexys here as the defense is there. 3 players stacked up. 2 going out wide. The mismatch is there. Avexys doing what he can. If he gets this elimination and both players stay out alive, best case scenario, gets the down. Rushiez needs to stay alive here. They have to give up the snipe and hope for the best here. Solurs gets it in his hands, and this could be almost deja vu if Icy, or I should say Avexys, was able to attack while the damage was fresh. But because both teams are able to regenerate their health, this is going to slow down, and Hive has control.
I'm still shocked that DeToX tries to go for the pick with a full roster of Hive kind of breathing down his neck. That was a bold play. He thought Hive was going to be slipping up, but ultimately they take him down. He was just mere inches from getting away, but regardless, though, the fact that this is a 2v2, thanks to the heroics of Avexys, is a wonderful position for Rise to be in. The overtime hill will be starting up, but I do believe it's in electronics, if I'm not mistaken. So for Solurs and his teammate of INZEM, they've got to get Avexys and go out of the spot. They've got to get up towards electronics. But you can already tell Rise is going to start backing up, rotating away, but you got to watch out for Solurs.
Rushiez has to be very, very careful. Ooh, missing opportunities. Solurs only mere inches. 6 seconds left. Missing yet another body shot, but on the other side, you got INZEM pushing up. They're following suit and nail. Avexys, he gets taken out. Rushiez in the hill. 1v2 scenario here, and they have to keep it contested. They have to go ahead and at least keep resetting the hill. Rushiez is putting that damage out. Gets the down on the 1, but it takes too much damage. He falls, and Hive will once again tie it up at 3 rounds apiece.
And I'm super surprised Rise stayed alive as long as they did, Jacob. The fact that Avexys clutched up like he did was incredible, but DeToX, in my opinion, making a bad play, going for the instance without any stuns, without any smokes, straight in front of Hive. They mow him down easily, and that was the first blood Hive needed. So Rise was kind of playing on extra life, if you will, like I said, because of Avexys, but either way, it's a fresh round. We're tied up 3-3, but going back and forth, and INZEM once again taking that early position, but Icy taking down TJ. It's going to be a great start for Rise. They got the first blood.
Cutting off INZEM's escape routes. INZEM's on his right, shots on his left, and there goes another one. He's gonna burn alive. Rushiez gets the frags as well. Demise trying to even it up. He takes out Avexys, but there's too much pressure being put. Solurs finds himself by himself, but everybody with a triangle chokehold. The angles, the shotgun shots. 32 seconds. Rise is able to once again go up +1 in the round count.
Right, +1 once again, as you said. We've been trading off rounds back and forth. Overtime hill going back up towards electronics. Only going to play an impact, obviously, in overtime, but more so if we get stuck in that checkout spot once again. One team is being held down low with the snipe, but either way, this could be a very quick round depending on how it goes. Battles for instance have been absolutely incredible, and Icy and TJ have just been going back and forth, but this time around, Icy gets away. Is he going to be picked up? Surely, you'd have to think so, and yes, he's gone. Solurs gets the pick with the snipe, though, and big trades. Now you got instance on one end, snipe on the other end. Really, Solurs controls the destiny of Hive at this moment. We'll see if he can make some connections. Meanwhile, on the opposite end, you do have that big standoff again. Overtime hill is going to be in electronics.
You can kind of see Solurs just maneuvering around, trying to get somebody to peek, make an ill-advised move, even threatening with him backtracking. Go ahead and try to affect the fight over towards Naze, but he spots out DeToX, lands a shot unable to get the mark though. DeToX rotating over. You see the rotation from Rushiez as well. You talk about that hill being in electronics. Rise trying to take that early control, but he's going to be denied by Demise. Hive rotating around as a full unit. They know their win condition in mind. Solurs almost connecting yet again with a headshot. This one's going to slow down just a little bit, but you got to think, like you said, Hive has control here with that sniper. They need to be happy with some body shots here as they take inch by inch away from Rise as they're trying to take control of that electronics.
It's a big round for Hive. It really is, because now they lose this. Rise will be at 5-3. An opportunity to take a 2-0 lead is well within their grasp, but for Hive, they tied up 4-4. It's still anybody's ball game. I see 2 instants in hand. Sees Solurs up ahead. Solurs going to easily dodge that one. Puts him out of positioning. Overtime starts in 25 seconds. Still a 4v4. Obviously, we put a lot of emphasis onto Solurs. Rise still needs to rotate up. They've got 2 versus 2 up top. Meanwhile, for Avexys, and I believe player 3 is Avexys, and then you also have Icy. They still need to get up there towards electronics. Hive does have man advantage on the overtime hill.
Yep, kind of see they want to keep control over that plat side because that gives elevated, that gives the cross in towards electronics. As you see, the stalemate will happen in less than 30 seconds. There goes the Rushiez and Rise first to the hill. Players going down though. They're going to stay inside. The elimination being picked up by Demise and TJ. Icy falls as well. Avexys by himself. He falls, and there it goes. 2 minutes and 11 seconds. The longest round in execution today goes in favor of I should say Hive. I was about to say Rise, but it was them going down left and right. And you got to think it was because of that control of the sniper. They waited till that last moment. You got to wonder what happened though. Icy with at least 1 instant in his pocket, unable to connect with an elimination.
And I just want to be very clear, Solurs was huge in that positioning for Hive. He did not allow Avexys or Icy to get a clean rotate. They had to play their life accordingly. Meanwhile, plat fight, TJ is going to fall. No, TJ's back up. Well done. I believe that was that INZEM being the hero? But anyway, it's going to be a 2v3 as the trade out is in. Solurs picks up that snipe once again. Overtime hill is going to be down on to checkout. I highly doubt we're going to get to an overtime hill though with the way that this opening has been. Rushiez will lose his life. Avexys as well, just like that. Hive will be at map point when they were looking at potentially being opposite of map point, right? Rise almost put themselves in that spot, but well done from Hive. This is their map to take.
Yep. Definitely put themselves in the driver's seat here, trying to close it down. They have to lose 2 straight rounds to Rise now in this scenario. Now, I think that's going to be hard the way this one is going. Right now, it's been back and forth between these 2 teams. Most recently, Hive getting the upper hand, whether it be due to instance, the out wide sniper play. They're just making sure to throw wrinkles into these rounds. A late flash here from Icy. Gets control of the middle. 2 shots on INZEM. Almost number 3. He goes down early. This could be what Rise need to go to a round number 11, but DeToX gets taken out. Icy falls. Avexys with the sniper in his hand and a backtrack from Rushiez. They need to get an even out elimination here. Players are weak in the middle. Rushiez gets 1. That should be it. But a player goes down. A perfectly timed flash is going to buy them some time and the opportunity that they need.
Good body shot. Hive now left with 1 player. That's going to be TJ. Demise is out. So it's a 2v1. An opportunity to go to a round 11 is here. And surely it's going to happen unless TJ pulls off some heroics. But Avexys shuts him right down with another headshot. He's been connecting all night long. Round 11, here we go. Well done. You know, it got scary though, Jacob, for Rise. Once I saw INZEM get that blind side on the DeToX, I was like, ooh, Rise might be in trouble here.
Yeah, that was a great move. An attempt by Demise. He wanted the positioning, the high ground to force them out of that checkout where the overtime hill was going to be. Unfortunately, that was a high risk, high reward, and it didn't pay off. He goes down, which opens up for the next elimination to come through. Icy sticking true to his strategy, throwing that flash in the middle, trying to create some sort of separation towards that flat side. Even though his smoke is clouding out, we know the strategy. Both teams fighting tooth and nail all game long for those instants. For the plat side, Rushiez was able to steal away those nades, but the pressure being put on him. That's going to be a trade out wide. 3v3 towards the plat side. Icy goes down. They smell the blood in the water. Avexys goes for play. He was able to get the revive before he gets taken down, but round number 11 goes to Hive. They were able to get the eliminations in the end and close it out 6-5.
Like I said, Hive, they were going to be a favorite going into this map, but I guess not so much of a heavy favorite as I was expecting. An incredible round, an incredible map that went to round 11. Solurs played out of his mind. His sniper abilities, especially in a couple rounds previously, was instrumental in Hive getting the victory. We're tied up 1-1 in this series. We have Escalation Training Grounds coming up next. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Jacob PR here, joined with Taylor Noble Reflections, and we got to see a fantastic round number 11 between Hive and Rise. And that's one of the things both me and Reflections were really talking about. Hive, even though they had a little bit of a lackluster performance during that Major 6, is not anything to scoff at. It's not anything to shrug your shoulders at. They're still one of the elite teams in Gears Esports, and they showed it here today, taking the number 2 team to a round number 11, and honestly coming down to the very wire.
Man, down to the wire indeed. I mean, round 11, incredible performance from Hive, but also incredible performance from Rise. That platform fight, quite honestly, was the best plat fight I have seen to date when it comes to execution on checkout, Jacob. Like, absolutely incredible. Plus, Avexys hitting these snipes. I know DeToX had his own moments, but Solurs with the snipe positionally, even though he didn't connect as much, Jacob, that last, I believe it was when they tied it up 4-4. He was so instrumental in not allowing Icy and I believe Avexys to cross over to get to electronics, therefore keeping the man advantage over towards Hive and ultimately securing the hill in the end, forcing Icy and Avexys just to head down, rush in, and then Solurs was able to take him out. So well done. Great job from Hive. Training Grounds Escalation coming up next. Now, who do you favor in this one? Because for me, I said Checkout and Training Grounds was going to benefit that of Hive. What are you thinking?
Honestly, it's kind of hard to tell because throughout the course of the last split, it's kind of been the worst mode, not just a singular map, one of the worst modes for Rise, and that includes, I do believe, a 10-0 beatdown in the grand finals of the mid-split playoffs against Vanquish. So even though I want to say the strategy, the slang kind of favors Rise right now, when it comes to everything, you look at the bigger picture between these two teams, this is anybody's map, and this is an opportunity for Rise, or I should say Hive, to really take control of this series and force that number 2 team to really think about everything that they've really worked on, and then have 2 opportunities after that to close out the series if they do take this map. This is almost a must-win for Hive because of how poorly Rise has been performing on Escalation.
Without question, and a must-win for another reason too is the fact that, you know, I've been talking a lot about Canals execution, but I mean, we might not even get that far. If Rise takes a 2-1 lead, think about it, Jacob. Rise is a phenomenal district control team. Actually, one of the best, if I'm not mistaken. So at this point, this is a must-win for Hive because they could lose district control and they can absolutely lose Canals execution. So Hive needs this to stay alive. Now, one of the things that I love watching when it comes to Escalation, specifically in Rise's favor, they started doing this when Fred was still on the team, right? When we were only playing Escalation competitively. They love to place Incense and Shock center line, right? Which disrupts the normal ebb and flow of what we expect from Escalation. And for Hive, that might throw them off, but look at the flank onto INZEM. Avexys taking him out, head down into TJ. He was doing that on control, but this time he gets shut down.
Yeah, we can already see DeToX gets into that neutral hill. So when it comes to early points, it's going to be up to Hive here. I don't want to say they feel the pressure. It's still very, very early on, but they have to figure out a way to make a move. And that's why you see them attacking so heavily. Because of DeToX going into the neutral, he gives up the angle over the top. I know you didn't see his name pop up a single bit, but that was a ton of damage being put out for Demise. And I can't wait for that new leaderboard because it'll show so.
Yeah, the new leaderboard's going to be impressive, right? Seeing the literally the DPS increase every single shot that is connected is going to be wonderful to be able to tell a more comprehensive story. But Hive is looking great. They were threatening that domination, but even so, they continue to pressure forward Rise, breaking out of their spawn, and it is a big battle. It is a huge fight, and it looks like Rise is going to be just okay. I say just okay, but Demise last alive, so Rise is going to take this opportunity to potentially pounce onto B.
Yeah, Demise is doing a good job of kind of stalling these players. He's not going to keep them off the hill 100%, but he's making sure everybody that kind of enters in, it takes an extra second to kind of regain their health. And that's why you see the members of Rise positioned up towards the top side as well. They know they're going to come off of respawn. They can't just necessarily attack the neutral for free. They have to get a hole into the defense as they try to stretch across up top. Rushiez goes down first. The window of opportunity is here, especially with 3 members on this side of the map. They get themselves another down, and they clear opening for home hill to home hill.
Avexys just trying to get through that meat shoot. He does, but I've secured at least the 2-1 at this point, which obviously they need, right? Rise still has a pretty decent lead overall point-wise. They don't have the win conditions, so it's going to be imperative for Rise to come off the respawn and quickly and take control if they can. The X factor, though, being Avexys, still hanging out. Curious where he decides to go, and I guess he's going for A. He wants that pressure to be onto Hive and make them think twice about their positioning. But if Rise wins this team fight, I think it's over with.
I don't know that second shot. He goes from Rushiez over the cover, through the cover. I don't know what kind of airbender stuff he's on, but that's exactly what Rise needed to kind of solidify this round in convincing fashion. Because you got to think, if Hive was able to kind of eliminate these players of Rise, kind of force them back, they could go ahead and try to extend for that neutral and at least get the triple neutralization. We can still be playing with Hive's hope of coming back into this round. But after that round number 11 loss, it's honestly good to see that Rise is still in it to win it.
Still in it to win it. Indeed, Escalation was one of those game modes they struggled on so much, but this time they're looking pretty solid. Rushiez, what are we doing? And there it is. I told you, they love disrupting the normal ebb and flow that we typically see, and they're getting that center line power, just overall. They don't want a long shot or something like an M-bar to go down center line or on B and disrupt the fight, right? So they might as well get rid of the shocks. And for TJ, well, he's going to place the DeToX down. So that B fight's going to be a little bit more valuable now, obviously, with the shock, but curious to see what they do with the DeToX in regards to Hive. But let's see how this Overlook fight goes for Avexys. Remember last time he got onto the flank of INZEM, took him down. Does he do the same thing here?
Yeah, you already saw the difference as well from the last round where DeToX took elite control of the neutral hill, which gave up that cross over the top, which allowed Hive to kind of win this neutral battle. I do believe they got first blood onto Rushiez here, but it's honestly refreshing to see. Look at Rushiez on this side of the map. Typically, he would play that 1v1 spot to Rise, already making adjustments from that grand finals, putting a big Slayer into the fight. And DeToX, we know he's a jack of all trades, and this kind of alleviates that pressure on that side of the map. And this is kind of why you see the stalemate situation. Both Demise and DeToX are ready at a moment's notice. You already see the flashes coming through. Plays going to be made from Rise. They actually get the stun onto Icy. He might have thrown it a little too short.
I think it was. In this one. So we'll continue with the standoff, the stare-off, if you will.
Could be wrong, because I saw there was 2 flashes though. But looked like it was short to me.
I think it was. I mean, you would have to think with that one stun being thrown, like someone would make the move, but it's a nice shot onto Icy, and that's going to be what Rise was waiting for to make that first move. They're going to be successful in that fight too. Drop of Avexys trying to be sneaky, though. INZEM will be able to Lancer him down, and a big collapse from Rise, you'd have to think, as Hive tries to get on all 3 hills. Unfortunately for them, DeToX is still up, and he's going to be on the B, so the round will continue. Scoreline still close.
Yeah, it was an adjustment made from Avexys. They tried to 2v1 that neutral to give DeToX control as he picks up another elimination. They were able to do just that and get the shock grenade as well, but it cost them everything from the north point of the map on, which kind of gives up the positioning to Hive. They got the 2-1, they have control, and now it's forced to kind of retake, but Rise makes it look easy. The first attempt is all it took. They get the 2 hills back under their belt in just a few seconds. They're going to get the lead as well. You see the win condition already favoring, but INZEM doing everything he can. Gets the down onto 1. Trying to get the revive as Icy. It's going to come through as INZEM has no help on this side of the map, and elimination coming through from DeToX. So that is going to be a little bit of a trade as INZEM continuing to stay alive.
He's doing an incredible job. He really is, but unfortunately, he will fall in this moment. And that's going to be player 6. Icy was able to take him down, and the 1v on the hill for B is going to be lost. And Rushiez will get that back into the hands of Rise for the 2-1. With the score being as close as it is, Rise will take the lead once again, and very shortly, but Rushiez rotates over towards Godspot. He's going to go ahead and post up their Hive. What is the game plan? It looks like they're stacking up potentially to go through Overlook for the overextension, but player 2 could cut across into mid and go over towards B. So Rushiez has got to hold his ground.
Going to be a huge target for the offense coming through Hive, especially knowing that they don't go ahead and possess 2 hills, but they try to brute force their way through the middle. Demise goes down. TJ gets that elimination onto Avexys, and you can already see both of those players trying to backtrack. Catch Rushiez out of positioning, but he gets the help he needs from DeToX over the backside, but wrong weapon out. Sprays and prays, but that's just going to be all they need to hold on. Keeping Hive out of the hills. In 3 minutes and 7 seconds, Rise take a 2-0 lead, and already you got to think with the adjustments of Rushiez replacing DeToX in those positions. They were at one point were another one of the worst teams in Escalation when it comes to the elite teams. This could be the adjustment they need after that big, devastating loss in the grand finals.
So we have Shocks on range. We've got Ensigns up top on Overlook. Meanwhile, for TJ, business as usual on the retro. So having the retro is going to be great for the side of Hive, especially if they can utilize that. Most likely not off the rip. I assume we're still going to see that big battle on Overlook. But once the round develops, having that retro could be instrumental for Hive's success because it's a lot of firepower, a lot of DPS that Rise is going to be missing out on, I should say. And the first two rounds were very close. They came down to the very end. It's not like one team is dominating the other. So even though Hive has lost the first two rounds, doesn't mean that they've lost by much, Jacob. So for that retro, I mean, it really could be the X factor, or really the added tool that Hive needs in order to throw out that additional DPS to win those critical fights to take that lead in the end.
Yeah, you can already see the difference in the placements of these 1v1 players towards the low side in coordination with the strategy towards the Overlook. There wasn't a big fight going down, no double contestation, so both of these players kind of eyeing each other across the map. But first blood going on over to Hive. Avexys going to be the first one to fall. They have the utility to continue to push up. They get the damage necessary. First kill goes on over, but Rushiez trying to even it up. He's new to this style of fight, but he's making things work. Unfortunately, he goes down. The mismatch is there. Hive have a man advantage. It's about how to utilize it and how to execute it.
I'm gonna be honest with you, going into the second half, Hive might have a tremendous advantage because they've been consistently winning the initials. Rise haven't been winning the initials. If you remember, it's kind of come down to just securing one hill. Last round, it was DeToX who was able to hold on to B. He wasn't contested, and Rise was able to come off the respawn and then ultimately win the round through objective work. Rise traditionally is a team that the longer the round continues, the better they get, right? Some teams are great off initials like Fire and Ice. They love their starts. If they have a strong start, they're looking to go at your jugular, finish it off in a way of domination. Rise, complete opposite. Their DNA has changed, so they do have the potential to close out rounds quickly, but the longer the round goes, it's still the same Rise. They get more and more comfortable because they still have that DNA from the older Rise. Whenever you're talking about Icy and you're talking about Rushiez, who used to play that with Fran and co, right, whenever they won those first couple of majors. But either way, though, the second half could be pretty tough for Rise with how they've been losing the Overlook fight.
Have to be doing a good job of staying alive. Only a down being picked up. Icy unable to pick up the elimination to come through. They're doing a good job of battling back into this one. They get the neutral, they get control, but Icy going down. Hive's not going to waste any time trying to attack. TJ goes down, though. That's going to be all the hopes there for this push being shut down. And now it's going to be a 2v2 on one side of the map, and Rise has the advantage on the other. As each second passes, even though Hive does have about a 20-point lead, they're going to start feeling that pressure because in just a few seconds, Rise is going to steal it away.
And they've been feeling that pressure, Jacob. This isn't something new. Again, Hive, strong initials, great starts, 2-1, take the point advantage off the rip. But Rise, towards the later portions in the previous two rounds, have always come out with the victory in the end. However, will things change now? It's going to be important for Hive to win this overextension, but shut down in a great stop from Avexys. Demise will pick up those instants. That's going to be wonderful, but scoreline's so close, and with Rise taking the 2-1 at this point in time, Hive might be once again suffering a narrow loss.
Yeah, luckily for them, they already have two people over towards the top, but I might have used the word a little too loosely. Demise goes down, taken out. TJ is able to get one elimination, but you can't get content. You got to continue to stay hungry. You have to figure out a way to make it work.
He needs to win this.
Almost goes another down. He almost made it happen, but you're right. Him getting taken out there just gives up the lead 3-0 on over to Rise. And I got to go ahead and ask you right now, you got to think Rise is taking control, not only with a 3-0 lead, but when it comes to the weapon placements, blocking on both middle spots with the shocks, the incense. There's very few comeback opportunities. So what does Hive need to do here to come back?
You know, I think Hive missed their opportunity. That ensign, I mean, that is an eyesore in my honest opinion. Again, they're winning that Overlook fight consistently. If that ensign wasn't there, I strongly feel in this round, Hive places a long shot, a drop shot, right? They put a power weapon on Overlook, Jacob. But because Rise has foregone really their early positional advantage on the sides, right? Their ability to have a shock or their ability to have an ensign because they place it center line, because they block the Overlook spot, that gives really the comeback potential away from Hive. I think in second half, they're going to be just fine. They're going to be able to string rounds together. But if Rise takes a 4-0 lead going into the second half, I don't care how good Hive has been playing the Overlook fight. They're ultimately going to lose this map. So I think Hive already has lost, in my opinion, because they can't place a power weapon down the center line. That's what they needed.
Yeah, Hive might be able to win the battle, but it looks like Rise is definitely winning the war here, but Rushiez goes down early. But it's always Avexys. It's always icy. These players just choose swords in the side today, and they get themselves another down. They're going to stagger those deaths out. This is already not looking good on this initial for Hive. They were able to kind of get that early lead with the neutral hill capture, but that was just Rise baiting them into a bad spot just so they can get the eliminations, go for a triple cap domination after. TJ gets a nice shot, but immediately taken out. INZEM is trying to buy them time, gets the trade on the one. That's one of the things I always talk about. You have to get a trade if you're fighting for your life in this situation, as he gets instant out by Avexys. I don't think anybody's going to be close enough here to stop this triple cap domination from going through, and Rise with a commanding 4-0 lead over Hive. This is looking scary.
Yeah, absolutely scary. And again, I don't think Hive has capitalized on weapon placements. They prioritize building up to the Boltok, then the retro, and then placing their own Boltok down low. But missing out on the instants and the shocks hurt. They really do. And again, that is a recent wrench that's kind of been thrown into the meta of Escalation. It started when Fran was still on the roster from Rise. They were well ahead of the curve, if you will, the skill curve. But Rise is the only team that really does this, and it's still funky that I don't think Hive knows how to react or adjust to it. And quite honestly, it's put Rise from a substandard, subpar Escalation team to a more dominant Escalation team, because again, they're setting a new meta that teams are struggling to react to. Now, I'm still going to stand by it. I think Hive is going to have a more successful second half. I really do. But I don't think they're going to be able to clear 5 rounds in a row.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Unless they honestly just flip that switch, they can just go full aggressive, continue to stagger out these deaths, and put a stop to that momentum, which they haven't shown any signs of being able to do that, or at least on Escalation. They did come out with a map 2 victory with a game number 11, so it's going to be very interesting to see if they have anything up their sleeves at all. Luckily for them, they're going to go right back to a control game mode, something that they can continue to try to build up their aggression. Unfortunately for them, map number 1 already went in favor of Rise, so even though they might lose this match, and I say might, they have to start thinking of how they're going to pull it together, how to start building some momentum onto their side here once they go into map number 4. This one's going to slow down, though.
Yeah,
this is where, like I said,
you
could definitely see the strategy and how both teams are playing to the big picture, though. Like I said last round, I'll say it again here. Typically, you kind of see those players, number 8, number 4 in the heaven spot, to cross over on the top side of the map. This time, they're just staring each other down. They don't have an angle to help the team fight because they know their plan isn't to fight for that top overlook. Now, if you see somebody try to make an adjustment to try to get that angle, that's something both Demise and DeToX have to communicate to their teams, because it's a threat there on their team if they try to make a push towards the top. But I don't know, man.
I think, Jacob, it's coming down to just whoever makes that first move and whoever's successful is going to end up with the win.
Cap on E.
Yeah, I think that's what it's going to be, honestly. Well, maybe not. Maybe we get a move a little bit quicker. Rushiez that wastes one valuable stun, and Eddie's down to boot. This is devastating. Granted, Avexys has his cross. You could see Rushiez just crawling as quickly as he can. Icy, though, does he go for the pickup? He doesn't in time, and TJ will ultimately take Rushiez down. So man advantage 3-2. Icy, he's got to connect. Oh, no, he's gone. It's a 4v3. Tough break, man.
I'm like, that's unfortunate, but at the same time, nobody had an advantage here in this one. Nobody had an advantage.
Until Rushiez dropped. Once Rushiez fell, that advantage was the Hive. But up until that point,
So you almost got to think, I don't want to say let Hive take this round by any means, but the show must go on. They did get at least a step forward, something here, but at 4-1 lead, honestly, if I'm Rise, I'm not worried. I'm hoping Rise isn't worried. Not arguing, not getting mad. Things happen. Things definitely happen.
Things definitely do happen. I mean, after all, you have a 4-0 lead as it is. I'm curious if Rise decides to push back. They can. I mean, if it's a live round, look, Rise can still fight this. Go for the 4v3. It doesn't have to end in a stalemate. I agree. Well, look, I'm not an officiator. I'm just a caster, but I would give the round to Hive personally. I really would, because, again, they got that first blood. It was a 3v2 on Overlook fight, but hey, man, it's not my decision. It's not my choice. But I think Hive will take it. It's going to be a 1-4. But again, can Hive string together 5 rounds in a row? And I still don't think that's going to happen. But You know, if you look at the history of Rise, when it comes to they'll be up 4-0 and then losing 5 straight rounds. They got a pretty good history for that happening to them, Jacob. So I'm hoping that's not going to be the case. But it has happened to Rise, I swear, more often than not. You know,
no, it definitely has. It's one of those teams where you just kind of let it slip through. But for them, with the next couple maps, one of them kind of being Game 5 on Canals, the next one being another control map. I do forget what it was, to be exact. Might have been Reactor, but I could be wrong. I think Rise, they're going to be able to close it out here into the next 2 if they do fall. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Hive begin to start building momentum. It's going to be District, the map number 4, not Reactor. And that's something like we've seen in the finals. Right now, I think the pressure, even though IAC is lagged out 4-1, you can easily, if you upset them 5-4 and you take this map, I still think the pressure is going to be on Hive here in this series.
Yeah, no, without question. Without question. Like I said, Hive needs to win this map. This is their insurance policy. It really is, because District Control is a great map for Rise. They've always been great on District. Their teamwork is phenomenal. And when it comes to District Control, teamwork makes the dream work. It really does, with all the angles and Lancer Fire that you can kind of implement. So I put them ahead of Hive there. And then also Execution. Canals, DeToX is the X Factor. He's incredible. His mid-bridge presence is pretty much, nobody can take him down. I mean, not even really Powers could take him down consistently. So for me, this is, if you will, the insurance policy for Hive. But unfortunately for them, it's going to be very difficult. They've got to win 4 straight rounds.
And it's, to me, one of the biggest things that makes it difficult for them as well. And it's something that you've hit on once, I've hit it on it, is the shock grenade and the instant placement. You're not going to be able to battle back by putting an M-bar down, putting a drop shot there towards the center line to the typical spots. It's going to have to be underneath in a spot you don't necessarily practice, a spot that will be heavily contested, where it's high risk, high reward, where you're going to have to kind of think twice if you do want to attack that scenario. Luckily, both of these teams, or at least on the side of Hive, they have this moment to kind of think about it. Like I said, you're able to kind of think about what strategy you want to do. Do you want to try to stalemate it like you did before, go for a late game attempt and like you did once already, or do you want to try to go for a flank play, try to catch somebody off guard, let Demise sit in heaven, cross over the top? To me, there's still so many different options here for both of these teams.
I think there are. I do want to pose a question to you, though. For any teams that do play Rise in the future, whether it be training grounds, harbor, whatever, do you think it's almost worth it to place a power weapon down in response to their shotgun instant placement? Because you think,
just simply put, yes, because especially if you're falling and they're getting that first placement down, you're not necessarily winning that initial, but you need something to battle back. Like you said, these instants, these shock grenades is not going to be a heavy tool used to battle back. So if you see them going ahead and you see their game plan unraveling in front of you, you have to do something. Otherwise, you're going to slowly lose the game. And we know what happens when we see teams play reactionary versus creating those perfect scenarios. And Rise, they're just playing into their play style by doing that. And if you allow them to get away with it, you're just going ahead and put yourself deeper into a hole.
All right, we got a live round underway. Let's see who's going to be able to come out ahead here. Obviously, Hive did, in fact, win that round, so they're up at least manageable. They bring it to 1-4. Still, 4 straight rounds needed to win this. We'll see what Rise is going to be able to do in this moment. Another standstill on the Overlook fight, plus for Demise and DeToX, neither one wanting to make that move. Now, Demise does have the HAMMERBURST, though, so it's going to be fun to see how that's going to be implemented. And Solurs also has a retro, so a lot of firepower, but Rushiez can't get the shot off onto INZEM, and unfortunately, they are both going to fall, and Hive now is going to be able to apply all their pressure to Avexys to drop him, and that was a terrible start for Rise.
Yeah, terrible start indeed. 2 hills already going under their belt. Weapons, they're beginning to swarm. They're beginning to try to suffocate these players, take advantage of their numbers. But it's up to DeToX. He has to figure out something, prolong this, get some damage, get a trade to come through. But DeToX and Rushiez go down simultaneously. Icy trying to be the hero, gets the revive, cost him his life, and nobody gets a touch on the hill. That's 2 quick rounds on the side of Hive. And just like you said, I don't know if you cursed him. I don't know what you did to them reflections. You talk about
don't put the bad juju on me.
I have to. I don't want it to be on me. I didn't say it.
Hey, but you know what? At the end of the day, we can say whatever we want to say, but they're the ones that control their destiny, Jacob. They are the ones that hold it. I mean, I hate to bring up the past, I really do, but Rise, they were up 5-2 in that best of 9, that final map against VQ. They were up 5-2, and they lost 4 straight rounds on Tomb to lose the championship. So, hey, say what you will, Rise, they've just got to get over that final hurdle. When they are on map point, just close it out.
And they close it out here. Like I said, I'm hoping during that commercial break, not commercial break, but that little downtime when Icy did lag out, they're not arguing, they're not getting down on themselves. They need to figure out a way to stay as hyped as possible. As an early attack comes through from Hive, they take the low side, they're forcing them back from both the top and the bottom. The sandwich comes through, luckily for Rushiez. He does get the trade, gets the elimination onto TJ, and overextension from Rise happening simultaneously. DeToX gets the home hill under his belt, so they will remain with 2 hills and go ahead and get in this early lead. And it's a 2v2 across the map. If they can defend this successfully, it's going to be up to Hive to play catch up. Oh my God.
Oh, yo, good shot from Demise. My goodness. I was watching that with a higher FOV, and I still didn't know what happened at that one. Well done. Either way, Rise on the... Avexys has been consistently head downing, and it was working up to start, but now it's not. Now, Rushiez is being very sneaky. Now, he's setting the trap. Doesn't get any victims, though, unfortunately. So, for Hive, they finally take that 2-to-1 hill advantage back. Rise has a minor lead, though, because they sent the OE, and immediately they're pressing into E, but INZEM is laying down the cover fire. It's going to be a 3v2, make that a 3v3 now as player 7 joins into the mix, but Avexys has got to get INZEM out of there.
Yeah, they got to make sure to bait and switch to take all this damage away from Avexys, allow him to kind of regen as much as possible. It does look like they want to go attack down low. They saw that over rotation come through. They're forcing members of Hive up, but TJ's there. He's trying to anchor them towards the backside, but he might have took too much damage too early. But same could be said for DeToX. Up a reaction shot. TJ gets one along with the help of Demise, but the reaction shot from Avexys, he gets 2. Solurs goes down. INZEM falls. Avexys gets taken out, but damage has been done. Rushiez finds a way to slip through the cracks to once again buy time for Rise and decap that hill to keep them in the lead.
In the lead, but just barely. Rushiez trying to hide out and trap a victim. Unfortunately, not going to be able to do so just yet. So once again, Hive takes the 2-to-1 hill advantage back. Now, granted, they haven't had the point lead just yet, but they're looking to take it over in a critical point in map number 7, and that's obviously now as they get closer and closer to Apex and the 200-point mark. So this overlook fight is going to be very important for Rise. Demise hits a nice shot. Icy's gone. DeToX now is going to be in 1v2 down low, but they do have some help, but I don't know who's getting that cross. Maybe player 7 of Avexys, but Rise, a great collapse, and that's 3 down. Make that 4. Wow. And I think Rise finally put Destiny back in their corner. This should be their map to take.
Man, Rushiez being the hero in the nick of time. I don't know if that was a 2v3. I don't know if that was a 2v4, but Rushiez does not care. Icy wants to try to close this one out as well. DeToX gets taken out. Hive have a sliver, but nope, it's right out the window. 17 seconds left. Nobody's even in position to break that home hill. I think Rise are going to take this back. INZEM goes down. This is all but over as 8 seconds remain onto the clock. Rushiez gets another one. Demise goes down. Solurs, that's going to be a team wipe as Rise go up 1 into the series and take a 2-to-1 map advantage.
Well done from Rise. Again, that strategy to place the shock down low where B Hill was and then to place the instance up top, not allowing Hive to pull out a wild card with a long shot or a drop shot. The only potential centerline power weapon that we could have seen would have been down in hell, down below that of Overlook, but ultimately Hive doesn't feel comfortable placing it there. And it comes to show you how strong that strategy is. You gave a HAMMERBURST to Hive. You gave a retro to Hive. A lot of DPS potential, but ultimately it was the play calls from Rise that ended up working. And you saw they paced it out. They were a long style, gameplay. It was long. It wasn't about, strong initials, getting dominations. They paced it out. That's what Rise has always been comfortable doing. And they did a great job countering Hive in every direction they ended up stepping. So well done to close it out. And that entrance policy for Hive, unfortunately, I guess they didn't pay it off because it gets yanked out from underneath them. And they're looking in the danger zone now because they have 2 maps that are very strong for Rise coming up.
Yep, this next one's going to be District on Control. And if Hive find themselves victorious, it's going to be Canals Execution. The remaining 2 maps must win for Hive to take the series, but 2 opportunities on the side of Rise. And you can already see the adjustments being made since that grand final, since that mid-split playoff. They're putting Rushiez in towards the fight. They're putting DeToX over the top, and that's what you're able to do. Once you're able to kind of progress, you see the progression in action throughout the split and that mid-split playoff. You continue. Like like I said, they're a team. They're not going to get content. They're not going to not be hungry. I know how dumb that sounds, but they're always going to figure out a way from here on out, and they're going to be a threat in Gears Esports for a lot of these teams.
All right, so for Rise, well done once again. They're looking good. They're looking good. There's a lot of questions I had, Jacob. You know, that second place against the VQ and MSP. How bad was that going to hurt them mentally? Were they going to be able to stay together as a team, stay composed, and win this series, or potentially win this series versus Hive? They haven't won just yet, but they're looking good. They're looking solid. Winning Escalation on training grounds is a big plus for the Rise boys, especially with how badly they were beat down. Jake, you mentioned, I believe they went 10-0 or 0-10 if I'm not mistaken when it came to Escalation specifically. So tough break for them, but even a tougher break for Hive. District control coming up. So as I've said, Rise, strong favorite on this map. They always have been. They play control very well, but District is something special because their teamwork, the way that they team fight, the way that they Lancer fire, that's actually what saved them on training grounds, right? You can't pace out training grounds each round after round by not playing collectively as a team. You just can't, right? If you play as individuals, you're going to get ran through, you're going to lose. So I highly benefit them going into control District. But what are some positives from Hive? What have we seen? Maybe even going back from Regency control, was there anything that maybe stood out to you that said, hey, they can do this, they can win District?
I know you only asked for positives, but I'm going to kind of give you both sides of that coin. I think some of the biggest positives is they have that slaying power that's there. You can see it in players like INZEM, TJ, and the rest of the squad that they can bang with the best of them on an individual level. But I think what's kind of hurting them right now is their teamwork, the depth of their strategy. So even though they can go head-to-head with Rise, this is an overall team game. And Rise kind of has that teamwork. They have the depth and strategy. They know how to back out of fights. They know how to Lancer just a little bit more. And I think right now that is one of the biggest things that is ailing Hive, and they need to turn it around here onto District. They need to get an early lead, begin to stagger out these deaths, and get themselves an advantage time and time again, and begin to suffocate and discombobulate the members of Rise. Don't allow them to kind of think. Don't allow them that time. Don't allow Avexys a moment in time to kind of think of what the retake strategy is. Do we wait for boom? So on and so forth. Because you've seen it from these elite teams, one of them being Rise here. One of their strategies of having a good defense is knowing when to break out and continue to attack, knowing they're not going to touch that hill. So you can go ahead and spawn time and time again and play for next.
I believe Hive, if they wolf pack together, if they play together, they could very well overwhelm the slaying power of Rise. Avexys started off very strong in the series. Now, granted, he hasn't been playing bad by any means, but he's also not playing as dominant as he was in that control Regency. So one of the things to kind of look out for is stamina, right? And I think you can only play so hard for a certain extended period of time until you start to taper off a little bit. Now, granted, again, Avexys hasn't tapered off a crazy amount, but maybe this is an opportunity where Hive says, okay, our gun skill is still there. We can take the victory. We just lost 5-2, but we understand what's at hand. We're down in the series. We've got to force a game 5. So now we got to put all our chips on the table and make it happen. I agree with you, Jacob. I think overwhelming Rise, playing aggressively, getting in their face early on, not allowing Rise to set up and get comfortable, because let's face it, when Rise sets up and gets comfortable, they're almost unstoppable. That's what makes them such a difficult team to beat, not only in Escalation, but also on control. And District is a setup-heavy map. So if Hive can break the setups early on and disrupt Rise's ability to play together as a team, I think Hive can be victorious. But that's a lot easier said than done. So that's a big task for Hive, but who knows? Let's see how it unfolds.
Yep. See this initial, you see the strategy, 2-1-1. Favoring towards that early hill control. 1v1 towards the boom shot. DeToX gets first blood onto one. TJ firing back, but overall, you got to think Rise wins this initial top and bottom parts of the map, and how they're kind of converging onto Solurs, making sure they win the boom shot as well, as they're being rewarded with absolutely everything to start this game off.
Rise won the 2v2 in Cinema. They won the 1v, well, I think it was a 1v2 at that point because some of the Cinema players rotated up, but they won the middle fight, and they also won the bandstand fight. Literally everything went correct for Rise. They win the boom, they win the points off the first hill, and they also get the insins. Avexys still has one more to his name, and I don't think, Icy still has the boom in his hand. So this isn't going to be easy for Demise and Co. from Hive to be able to hold down this hill. Now, does he hold on to it? Does he save it? Well, the real question is, does he know there's a player to his left?
Watch out the one on his right. Flash is basically saving his life. keeping him a lot longer than he should.
I mean,
Great help from Avexys as well. That's why I said the teamwork right now from Rise, I think, is going to be the most dangerous aspect of this game, because look, INZEM's fighting by himself. There's 13 seconds left on this hill. If he gets staggered out, that's not going to be good, but he wins that exchange. But what does he get for it? He's not really getting anything here, but he needs to figure out a way to get that spawn point. But he's working by himself. 4 members up. You see the converge from Rise. They know they're focused. They know the situation they have to be in as they continue to push these players back. Great angle coming out from Rushiez.
Falls. Yeah, and that's the thing about District. It's all about angles, and nobody knows the angles better on this map than that of Rise. Rise is just, they've always preferred this map. Even in Escalation, you go way back when they were winning championships, right? District was always their map, most dominant map, and it translated well to Control. It really did, right? So INZEM 1v2. Gonna make it happen this time, though. Demise will get the angle and take down the 2 players and get the revenge for INZEM. Gets the cleanups well done. Rise does have a little bit of a lead, but can change very quickly. Demise is going to try and challenge the hill if he can. Now, he can't contest up top. That's exactly what he's going to do. So he's going to pump the brakes, but maybe not for long. He's going for it. They know DeToX is by himself. Great shot. Can DeToX win this? Maybe. Rushiez gets the inside too.
DeToX doing a good job backing up, ready to retake along with Rushiez. They attacked in the center as well on the side of Rise and going ahead and getting the majority of that time. And you can already see them dispersing, like I said, with that much amount of time left on the hill. They can backtrack. They can set up for next. They have a 60-point lead, give or take 1 point. There goes a nice back A from TJ trying to get control. Boom shot being used from Icy. And yes, that's the same boom shot from the very beginning of this game.
No, it's not.
No, it's number 2. It is number 2. No, it is number 2. I forgot there for a moment. He got the second. But to me, that was one of the talking points I wanted to talk between this one. Last time we saw Rise on this map was in the grand final against Vanquish. And I do believe it was maybe 5-1, 6-2, something like that, where Vanquish controlled the boom shot. And it's already 2-0 in favor of Rise. So Hive, even though they're doing a good job here of staying alive in the game, they need to figure out a way to thrive. They're getting staggered out. Every move they make is just matched by Rise.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even really the boom. It's not even the incense. There's nothing truly like standing out to me that like Hive is doing wrong. It's just the fact that Rise is doing everything right, and Hive can't get any added edge. They just bottom line can. Now, this is going to be a possibility. Avexys is in a really tough spot. He understands holding the spot means we have spawns for my team, but that was a brilliant play. Avexys dipping out. I think more often than not, a player in that spot would have stuck his ground knowing he was going to die, but Avexys dips out, and now Hive is put in the fatal funnel. That was a brilliant play.
I'm just wondering, has Icy died yet? He has to have died here at this point in time. The only reason why, like I said, okay, so don't know.
Well, they don't.
The only reason why is because I didn't see that second boom shot get picked up. I'm wondering if Icy has even died on this point. I'm just gonna pretend like he has. I'm pretending like Icy is on a tear. 12 eliminations up at this point.
Way to go,
there
Jacob.
Goes the
there
first.
you go. Now he's dead.
DeToX killed him. DeToX. Why?
DeToX killed him. They nerds your commentary, man. Just said enough is enough. Hey, Icy, you got to be brought down a level, all right? You got to remember you're still human, brother. You got to remember where you come from. Rise rotates early on. Now, this hill is very difficult to break, and quite honestly is the hill that makes or breaks team, given the fact that it's normally the last hill we see in the rotation to kind of decide and determine it all. Rise with 131-38 lead. This is starting to get scary for Hive, and at this point, Rise can literally do no wrong. And we understood that Hive needed to win that training grounds escalation. That was their insurance policy, and I hope now everybody can see as to why that was the case because of how good Rise is playing this. I mean, literally right there, Hive looks as if they're going to win this fight in mid, and then all of a sudden Rise turns it around in their favor.
Bro, this is just looking bad right there, like you said. They have to win that boom shot. And I could be wrong about the instant count, but it's 3-0 in boom shots. It's 2-0 in instant control. Hive, it's just not looking good. And honestly, I didn't expect this after a game number 11 victory, but that's just to show Checkout is a very, very aggressive map. I think it's very, very little room to have different styles of play. So I think when it comes to Checkout, I think that's going to be a pick for a lot of these teams that don't have depth in their strategy to where they can just be aggressive and come out with some victories. So I'm going to be looking at it as that as this season does progress, as this run does go ahead and continue on, if teams are straying away from Checkout because they might have the upper hand in strategy.
About to break the 200-point mark is going to be Rise. High, still below 50 points, and Things are definitely good. I think they're going to break it off of this hill. INZEM's going to go for a challenge onto IC, and there's the 200-point mark. And IC literally, I think IC was waiting to hit 200 before he dipped out, right? Kind of keep that mental pressure onto Hive. Solurs from the corner, though. Well done. I think he gets to pick up 2. Yeah, he does. So that's going to be 3 members in there, but it doesn't even matter. Maybe, but Demise head down, gets 1, goes for the second, but DeToX will make him pay with the 1-2 punch, and Rise continues to extend their lead.
You can already see them gearing up down low. Yep, picking up that instant 6-0 in power weapons between the boom shot and the incendiaries for the side of Rise. And you can kind of see it. They're going ahead and attacking the neutral. They're attacking the hills. It's not working out. They're spreading out, not getting the power weapons. TJ and the rest of Hive, they have to begin to start somewhere. Anchor one portion of the map. Like I said, sometimes when it does come to strategy, you got to work together, but they're getting attacked and being separated by individuals time and time again. Luckily for INZEM, he wins that exchange up top. This is a moment for them to stop the bleeding here. They have to get this elimination onto Avexys. They get control of the hills. They're going to be able to kind of get some points onto their side, but now they have to be ready to rotate and gain control of the next hill, because that's already what Rise is doing.
Rushiez just on the outer edge, just keeping that hill contested, which can sometimes be just as valuable as getting the points yourself. Rushiez will finally fall. INZEM will take him down, but that's the fact of the matter, right? Is Rise, even though they have a tremendous lead as they do, they continue to fight tooth and nail to keep the hill contested or just keep Hive uncomfortable. That constant pressure, right? Not allowing Hive to catch a break. As we know, Control, and Blaze said this best, it's all about stamina, and stamina is a real thing with how long these go, but that was an awkward fight. DeToX finally takes down Solurs. INZEM answers back, though. That corner clearly very deadly. You want to avoid that, though. If you're on this map, clearly, TJ will get the boom shot, and I think it's the first time Hive has got their hands on the boom.
Hey, first one's always the hardest. It's about using it effectively from here on out. You can't just shoot it out willy-nilly. Great flash to buy some time for INZEM, but IC does not back down. Continues to play aggressive and gets that elimination. We talked about the boom shot in the hands of TJ, how you use it. Pulls out the shotgun in the nick of time. Spots out DeToX as well. Spots out Avexys. All that information going on over as TJ's doing what he can to anchor the backside. He gets pushed. Boom shot is used, and I honestly think that's what Avexys was looking for.
Very possible for Hive to come back into this, but the blind side from Rushiez onto TJ to get the pickup onto Icy. Still, things are a bit awkward. Solurs keeping that pressure up. He's unrelenting, but finally he will fall. Granted, though, Hive has the spawns, so they're going to be able to maybe disrupt this hill for a little bit longer. You also have a battle in mid. That's going to be player 1 of Avexys, or it should be DeToX. DeToX now to 1v2, but the instants connect, and I want to say this, Jacob. Avexys, throughout this entire series, anytime he gets his hands on whether it be frags or instants, you best believe he's got his angles down. He's going to connect.
Yep, 4-0 on instants, 3-1 in boom shot control. They're pushing these players back. It just seems like they don't have a defining voice. Somebody really being sure and keeping everybody on the same page. You might have somebody that might call out a play, but like I said, when it comes to being on the same page, being very, very aware of the overall situation here, it just seems like they're lacking right now, and Rise is taking full advantage. And they know this next hill is going to be towards the top portion of the map. The hills are now going to be reset back to the initial stages, but it's Rise again, beating them to the punch. They get control of the inside. They have players on the outside. They're going to make it every single inch hard to take on the side of Solurs, even backing him out with a flash. Luckily for him, he does have a teammate in Demise there, but they're trying to attack and continue to force these players off. And they're going to have to put themselves in the danger zone if they want to keep this hill contested.
Nice shot from TJ. I will say this, TJ is starting to heat up, but is it a little bit too late? That's what I'm fearing for Hive. It's almost like on Regency. You know, they made that great comeback. They covered, I think, 70 points to make things a little bit more competitive, but by the time they did cover the ground for the 70 points, they ended up losing 300 to 217. And it almost is the same thing here. The boom comes in. Rushiez, can you take down Solurs? Ring around the rosy we go, and a reset is in. Rushiez hits a nice shot. Solurs backs up. Surely he dies here, and finally he goes down, but did he give enough time? Maybe. Rise just trying to get to that 250 mark, and they're going to get there with ease. So by the time this hill is done, they're going to be within striking distance of closing out this series 3-1.
About to say, I don't know if INZEM got away with it. I don't know how that happened for INZEM. He's stuck behind enemy lines, gets the elimination, but quickly staggered out back and forth. Like I said, Hive is just seemingly one step behind. They're getting staggered out while trying to stagger out the Des. They're just getting baited in. DeToX gets another pair of incense. When it comes to incense, it's 5-0, 4-1 in boom shot control. They're doing everything right. They're looking at this game, the big picture. Like I said, Hive might win a battle here and there, but Rise is trying to win the war. 32 2 seconds remain for a 3-1 closeout victory from Rise, and they're going to be first towards this next hill at the bottom half of the map. So Hive, they have to be quick to answer the call.
I don't know if anybody's going to win off this. Well, I know for sure Hive's not going to win off this next hill. The question is, will Rise win off this next hill? The possibility's potentially there, but this is one of those hills that kind of goes back and forth. It's hard to control every point. Avexys in no man's land, trying to hug the walls to get away if he can. Rushiez goes, picks him up at least, throws out the side. I think Avexys on his final down, and he in fact is. She's now in a 1v2. Now, granted, this is for control on the opposite side of the map, and now Hive has clear ground to get up there. Good INZEM from DeToX will at least push him back momentarily. I think they got a couple of points for Rise. But either way, Hive absolutely doing a great job. They started on the opposite end. They won their fights there. Then they collapse in. Avexys kind of by himself, but here comes the cavalry from Rise.
They're doing a good job of building onto that momentum, but we know Rise's never give up attitude. They were a wrestler, they would definitely beat John Cena here, but DeToX definitely goes down. Another one as Icy gets taken out. Boom shot control in the hands of TJ. If they can just continue to push Icy back, or that's going to be Rushiez. So 2 consecutive boom shots is leading to comeback potential, but the hill is going in favor of Rise yet again. A nice up A from Solurs. He's unable to get the elimination though. It's going to be up to TJ. He's going to start by contesting this hill, trying to funnel these players in before he uses that boom shot. I don't know if they know TJ has it right there, but he could get a double kill if they get caught slipping.
I think at this point, Rise just needs to focus on keeping this hill contested. But Avexys once more, he's going for the challenge. This is bold, though, because he knows he could be Lancered out, and Demise is there. But with the heroics, he gets away with his life and also gives Rise 20 points away from securing this series. And the cherry on top, he takes down Demise. Avexys now going the challenge, maybe that of the player from Hive just up above. Hive has no choice. You got to go for it. But Avexys wants to end it here and now. They don't even want to go to a separate hill. Another hill. And the potential's here. 10 more points. I think 14 still remains on the hill. Hive, though, gets the break only momentarily, but 5 points away. Does Rise get it? And Jacob, I think they do 300 to 145. And Rise will take the series to start off phase 2 with a victory. Well done.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those moments there for Rise to where you get second place. Like I said, this is the revenge split for Rise. They want to take a championship home before the end of this season. And honestly, I think this is the perfect roster to do it.
I agree. I really do. Rise starting to come into their own. Phase 1 was kind of a warm-up, a big warm-up, right? Getting second place at MSP, but now they are out for Blood Revenge Tour. Best way to put it, absolutely, Jacob. The major would be the cherry on top, really, for Rise at this point in time, right? And would in fact, complete the Revenge Tour in general. But for Hive, unfortunately, a lackluster performance. They lose both controls. They do win the execution, but let's not forget, they won it by 1 round. That was it. It wasn't like it was a blowout. So for all intents and purposes, Jacob, Rise pretty much dominated the series.
Yeah, 1 round on a map like Checkout, to where I always talk about Checkout. It's just a one directional map to where if you're not going forward, you're probably taking that L time and time again, or at least forced to come up big with a playmaking ability. So I would like to see a lot of these teams, if you don't have that strategy on your side, don't pick Checkout. Stray away from it. Ban it if you have to. Do whatever you have to do. Because I wouldn't say if you don't have strategy. If you do have a strategy on your side, pick a clock tower, flip a tomb. Force these teams to start to think. They can't just win by forcing 4 players over and brute forcing their way to victory.
Avexys tweets out just now, we out here playing control with 0 comms. There's no way they had 0 comms that entire time. Maybe with how long Rise has been playing together. Well, obviously DeToX coming in, but I mean, he's got history with the Avexys, so I guess they can just read each other like a book. But if they really had 0 comms like that and still won, who knows? Maybe 0 comms actually helps them, Jacob, because then they can't argue and fight between each other. So, hey, I think Rise found the secret, the silver lining for their team. They're looking good. I can't deny that.
Yep, just mute your mic. If you guys want to know how to take these victories, how to advance to the grand, just mute your mic. Stay silent, don't call out, and just make sure you make your teamwork work. Honestly, all jokes aside, I think Blaze can kind of agree to a certain aspect of this. If you go way back to Gears of War 1, where there wasn't party chat, there wasn't Discord, not many people even had PCs where you had to rely on game chat. In Gears of War 1, if you got eliminated, you're in the nether realm.